Hello, my beautiful fashionistas. Welcome back to Yvonne Winifred UG. Today, guys, we are making this beautiful two-piece set, and I made it out of an old, not even old, but I made it out of a velvety pant. I sell clothes and sometimes I change them so that I get something more beautiful. This was the look of the pants, and now we are ready to start the cutting. So the pants are still in good shape, but they were kind of short and I didn't like the fit. So I was like, what else can I make out of these pants? So folding them into two like this is the right side. I want to maintain this waistband. I want the length of the skirt to be 20 inches. So I'm marking 20 inches from the top, and I'm going to add 1 inch to mark at 21 inches so that I have that 1 inch for finishing the hemline, or for as the hemming allowance. So after that marking, I'm cutting. So I want to use this entire trouser or pant to make my two-piece. So this is going to be for the skirt, and then these two are going to make the top and the straps. So this is all we need, this is all we have. So now I want to open up some seams. So for this upper part, I'm going to open up the inner seam, that inner leg seam. So you can either use a seam ripper or even a razor, depending on how the stitches were finished, or depending on how the seams were finished. So I tried to seam rip, but I could, like it was slow. So I later used a razor, but off camera. So this is what I'm going to do to open up that inner leg seam of that top part. Then this downer part, still I'm going to be opening up one of the sides, again by using a seam ripper like this, or just using a razor blade or anything that can cut. So let me do that off camera, and after I'll show you. So now this is it after opening up that inner leg seam. Do you see? The trouser was like that. So now I'm joining front to front and back to back so that it gives me this shape as you see. So this is what we have. I think according to the crotches, you see the difference, that this side is the back side and then this is now the front side. Like the two are different. The back is always larger in size compared to the front. So I'll just sew like this, and the other side I also repeat the same, but you have to make sure that it is aligned together and then connect like that. But before all that sewing, guys, one thing you have to be sure of is the measurements that you need. So for me, I wanted to have like around the hip area, or the hip line, I wanted to have about 40 inches, since this is a stretchy fabric, so that when it stretches it goes to about 42-inch hip measurement, or 44 inches hip measurement, and even down. So please make sure you measure first, and after measuring, get pins and pin your fabric so that it does not like disturb you, so that it is easy for you to sew. And also, as before sewing, as I'll show you later, I went ahead to even use chalk to mark the correct part where I want to sew. But anyway, before that, so I've also gone ahead to seam rip these two, but the hemline, or what was the hemline of the trouser, is still there. So I also want to go ahead and seam rip like this and open up that hemline so that I get more fabric for the straps, or like for our two-piece set. So I'm going to open up this hemline for this and for this, and then I'll bring it to you and you see. So here we are. So measuring my top, I want the top part before sewing to be able to fit somebody of 36 inches. And remember, this is like a tube top, a bustier, or like off shoulder. Taking off like 5 inches or 6 inches, I want the top to end at about 17 inches. So down there I have excess. So with that excess, guys, I'm going to cut off about 1.5 inches so that I get the strap fabric. So now this is what I'm going to do. This side, I'm going to mark off like 1.5 inches for each piece, and I will be using that for the strap pieces for the top. So remember, I need just about up to like 17 inches, marking from 6 inches going down to about 17 inches. Then the hemming allowance and the allowance for the top, I have an excess of about 1.5 inches, so I'm going to cut that off. You can even use 1 inch, but depending on the fabric, this velvet fabric, you know, like it folds so much. Even when you're cutting it, you see here it was folding so much that I continued with my marking 1.5 inches with this tape as I cut off. So I'm going to repeat the same for even this, and this is what I got after. So I have my two pieces for the straps. So I'm going to finish it any easier way that I know. You can either fold by 1/4 inch either sides, right, like wrong sides facing, then you top stitch along, or you can just match them right sides facing each other and you sew by 1/4 inch, then flip them onto the right side later. That can be tricky, but it is doable if you have like a loop turner, or you can use a safety pin to turn your straps. So that is what I did. And now, guys, for the sewing of the skirt, I've decided to use my ruler to mark the hip, around the hip towards the hemline very well with some chalk, so that I really see what I'm going to sew, and you know, like whatever that I need out of this piece. So this is what I'm doing. I'm sorry, my chalk is not so visible, but just have that in mind that we are chalking down, or we are marking with chalk with the ruler, so that we see the perfect shape that we really need, and also along that marked shape. So now for my two top pieces, I'm going to also align them right sides facing each other, and make sure that the top part of this top piece, the top that is supposed to be around the bust, that I have about, or it is able to fit somebody of about 36 inches. After joining the sides, I'll just hem the top and the bottom, and that will be all for all these pieces. So after that sewing, guys, this is what I have. So I want to cut off this excess, as you see. So I'm cutting off the excess so that I remain with like just 1/2 inch, and I'll overlock that part later on or serge it up. So I do the same even this side of the back, and now this is the skirt. So it is easy, it is doable, you can do it using any fabrics at your disposal. So you see that we have that line in the middle, but I want to have 2 lines at the front and also 2 lines at the back, to kind of have like a princess, to kind of like have princess darts, or like a 6-piece skirt, or like a 3-piece skirt. So I'll just fold twice by 1/2 inch like this, and top stitch all around the hemline to finish the skirt. So as easy as that. Next, I have my straps. I've turned them to the right side, and I have even excess. So remember, we took off about like 6 inches. So here I need about 12 inches, or more or less. Since this is a stretchy fabric, we don't need much. So now this is the top Let me show you where we started from. This is the wrong side where we sewn from. So I just, ran straight stitches by 1/2 inch along the sides, and that is how it looks like. So now this is the correct side or right side. So I have that seam in the middle. You can either use that seam in the middle or you change it so that it looks like this, with 2 seams at the front and also 2 seams at the back. So at the top here I have that measurement. It's kind of like, I think it was less compared to a bust of 36 inches, so I decided to use this other side that is a little bit bigger. So here I have about 17 inches, but stretching it up, I think it can get me to like 18 inches. 18 times 2, I get about 36 inches. So I'll finish up that top part, then also hem this other bottom part by folding I think I folded just once, or like a 1/4 inch twice. Then along these lines that I told you about, that are like princess darts, that is where I will sew my straps inside by 1/2 inch. Then this one also inside by 1/2 inch, then also the other part towards the back. And guys, that is the top. So if you didn't know, I do sell clothes, so sometimes I change them since I have a sewing machine, and this is one of the projects that I do to like change the design of any cloth that seems maybe boring yet the fabric is nice. For example, this velvet pants. So now guys, this is what I have. The piece is finished well, so I didn't cut off the excess of the straps. I left it inside there just because you never know which client can come wanting this. So yeah, you leave it for adjustments later. So now this is the skirt. Also remember, I want the 2 seams to be at the front for the skirt and also for the back. So this is what I have. It looks like this is a more clear view, and that is all. You can also get anything, especially the stretchy fabrics, and create something like this. See you